We'll vote on this item at the end of private member public business. Orders of the day.
Ballot item number 14, Order M173, second reading of Bill 173, an act respecting the sale of single-use beverage pods. Mr. Miller, Parry Sound Muskoka.
The member from Parry Sound Muskoka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move second reading of Bill 173, an act respecting the sale of single-use beverage pods.
Mr. Miller, Parry Sound Muskoka has moved second reading of Bill 173, an act respecting the sale of single-use beverage pods. Pursuant to Standing Order 98, the member has 12 minutes for his presentation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm pleased to rise in the House today to debate Bill 173, the Reducing Waste One Pod at a Time Act. If passed, my private member's bill would require all single-use coffee pods sold in Ontario to be certified compostable. It is my hope that Bill 173 will make Ontario a global leader in waste reduction while supporting a made-in-Ontario innovation and local businesses. To begin, I'd like to recognize important stakeholders who have joined us here today to observe the debate. I want to start with folks from Muskoka Roastery Coffee Company in Huntsville, who first introduced me to the idea of compostable coffee pods. In the members' West Gallery, we have Doug Burns, CEO of Muskoka Roastery, Patricia Snell, co-founder of Muskoka Roastery, Jordan McKenzie, marketing manager of Muskoka Roastery, and from Club Coffee, the Toronto company that worked with the University of Guelph to develop the Pure Pod 100 certified compostable coffee pod, we have Solange Acro, Vice President of Marketing, and unfortunately the Dean of the School of Agriculture at the University of Guelph is unable to be here today, but I want to recognize Renee Van Acker, who did participate in the news conference that I held on November 1st. Also here today are Steve Ahier and Bill Riley from Genpack of Aurora, which makes the compostable lids. And here from Wingham in the riding of Huron-Bruce is Brad Harrell from Biax, which makes polylactic acid, one of the components of the compostable lid. And I'm also joined by Daniel Buklis, a program outreach manager at the Compost Council of Canada. And last but certainly not least, we have Bob Chance, Senior Vice President of Corporate Affairs of Loblaw Companies, who is here because President's Choice also offers its products in Pure Pod 100 certified compostable coffee pods. Please welcome them. Additionally, I want to thank Legislative Counsel and Bradley Warden in particular for providing the support necessary to bring this bill into existence. And of course, I want to thank my legislative intern Cassandra Lowen, who's done an amazing job on this private member's bill, and my executive assistant Leslie Daw. Last month, the Environmental Commissioner said it clearly. Ontario has a waste problem. In a year, each Ontarian creates on average 1,800 pounds of waste, only 25% of which is recycled. According to the government's own research, the amount of waste produced by Ontarians is expected to increase by 40% by 2050, requiring the creation of 16 new landfills. Packaging, mainly made of plastics, constitutes 1/4 of the waste produced by Ontarians. Plastic takes hundreds of years to break down, contributes to pollution, and threatens ecosystems, especially when it ends up in our lakes and oceans. Single-serve coffee pods are a large source of plastic waste. The single-serve coffee industry has grown rapidly. They are currently the #1 selling household appliance and can be found in 38% of Canadian homes. About 49% of coffee sold in stores is in the single-serve format. Unfortunately, the packaging used in this popular beverage system contributes significantly to Ontario's waste problem. 1.5 billion coffee pods end up in Canadian landfills every year. Sending coffee grounds to landfill in non-compostable coffee pods not only takes up valuable space, it also contributes to climate change. Even the inventor of Keurig's K-Cups is uncomfortable with the amount of post-consumer waste being produced. In an interview in The Atlantic in 2015, John Sylvan admitted he regrets creating the disposable coffee pod system. I wish to stress, however, that the problem has to do with packaging, not with the practice of brewing single-serve coffee. In fact, compared to standard drip coffee, single-serve coffee is more efficient and uses less water and less energy. There are two ways to keep single-serve coffee pods out of landfill. The first is to make single-serve coffee pods recyclable. The second, and in my opinion, the superior option, is to make them compostable. While there are some recyclable coffee pods on the market, their usage is not yet widespread, and they come with two significant drawbacks. First, recycling coffee pods is not convenient. Consumers need to wait for the hot pod to cool down, remove the welded-on foil lid, dump the coffee grounds in the compost, remove the internal filter, and wash the cup. Only then they can place it in recycling. For a product predicated on convenience, it is unlikely that many consumers will take the time to properly recycle the pod. Recyclable pods are most likely to either head straight to the landfill or be recycled incorrectly, becoming a contaminant and driving up costs. Second, even if the coffee pod is recycled properly by the consumer, small plastic packaging, especially food packaging, is generally sorted out of the recycling stream due to fears of contamination, despite claims to the contrary. The National Post reported that in Toronto, quote, the pods are too light and small to be detected by sorting machines or the plant's workers, so they head to the landfill. For these reasons, recyclable coffee pods are not the best way to reduce waste. The best solution is to make them compostable. Club Coffee, a company based here in Toronto, teamed up with the University of Guelph's Bioproducts Discovery and Development Centre to produce the world's first certified 100% compostable coffee pod. This is an impressive achievement and is certainly a good news story of research, innovation and entrepreneurship in our province. Tests have shown that the Pure Pod 100 breaks down in as little as 5 weeks, faster than many items accepted into municipal green bin programs. And because the whole pod and its contents are compostable, consumers can simply throw the whole thing into the green bin. In addition to Club Coffee, certified compostable pods are sold by Café Le Joie in Canada in Montreal and Rogers Family Coffee in California. There are more compostable designs in development, including 2 coming out of British Columbia. Canterbury Coffee has a partially compostable pod. They're working on making fully compostable, and GPAC is expected to introduce a fully certified compostable pod early next year. Why then have certified compostable coffee pods not become the industry standard? It's not because industrial composting is inaccessible in Ontario. In a TVO blog post, Keurig claimed that, quote, less than 1% of people in Canada have access to industrial composting facilities, close quote. This is patently false. According to the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, 37 municipalities in Ontario offer green bin programs. These 37 municipalities represent 70% of Ontario's population. The most significant obstacle is fear of contamination. I understand that municipalities are concerned that confused consumers will attempt to compost non-compostable coffee pods. This would require extra sorting of the compost and cost municipalities and local taxpayers money. Greg Peterson, the Director of Waste Management for the City of Orillia, told me that while the Pure Pod 100 successfully broke down in his facility, the public is not being encouraged to compost their coffee pods because of fears of contamination. As a recent article in Municipal World describes, quote, Ontario's municipalities have challenged the makers to standardize the design for pods and to settle on one method for managing them, close quote. This is where my private member's bill comes in. If only certified compostable single-serve coffee pods are on the market, then the problem of compost being contaminated with non-compostable pods would be effectively eliminated. I recognize the concerns of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario and the Municipal Waste Association that variation among municipal compost systems may also mean variation in the extent to which compostable pods successfully break down. That is why there is a 4-year wait before Bill 173 would come into effect. Municipalities, like industry, need time to plan and prepare for the new and promising frontier that is compostable packaging. That is also why I state clearly for the record that municipalities will need support from either the province or the producers of manufactured compostable products to improve and expand their organics programs so that they can accept certified compostable packaging with confidence. As you may recall, Madam Speaker, I introduced a bill on product stewardship twice before the government introduced the Waste Free Ontario Act, so I agree with the principle behind producer responsibility. With the Waste Free Ontario Act, the government has endorsed the concept of a circular economy in which resources are continually reused. The compost produced by compostable coffee pods is in itself a valuable resource that will re-enter the economy. In fact, when President's Choice started using the Pure Pod 100 in 2016, Glenn Murray, the then Minister of the Environment and Climate Change, said that, quote, a priority of the Government of Ontario through the recently passed Waste-Free Ontario Act is encouraging innovation in consumer packaging, eventually moving towards a circular economy in Ontario. Today's announcement is a great example of that innovation in action, close quote. After I introduced Bill 173, Mr. Murray congratulated me on Twitter for, quote, leadership on moving Ontario to a more circular economy. Moreover, the government's proposed food and organic waste framework released last week dedicates a section to compostable products and packaging. This framework recognizes compostable products and packaging as a new and emerging waste stream that will create new challenges and opportunities in waste management. It says these products should be diverted for the beneficial use, but that work needs to be done to better integrate these new types of packaging in Ontario's circular economy. The next section of the proposed food and organic waste framework is entitled Support Resource Recovery Infrastructure, and it says Ontario will need to support existing resource recovery systems and develop additional capacity to process food and organic waste. I agree with the government on this issue. We do need to find more and better ways to recover the resources found in our food and organic waste, and there is a need for the government to support municipalities throughout this period of expansion and innovation. As the Reducing Waste One Pod at a Time Act demonstrates, there is no inherent contradiction between environmental stewardship and business success. Bill 173 would benefit ecosystems and the climate by reducing the amount of waste sent to landfill. It would benefit municipalities by dramatically reducing contamination, as well as provide the certainty and time needed to plan for the new reality of compostable packaging. It would benefit innovators in Ontario by enabling their product to reach its full potential. It would benefit the 250 people who are now employed by Club Coffee, not to mention their suppliers. And it would benefit consumers by providing them with a sustainable and convenient way to reduce environmental footprint. And, Madam Speaker, I can see I'm almost out of time. I've been speaking quickly to try to get this whole speech in, but I'll do the rest of my last couple of minutes when I have time. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. For the debate.